William Green of North Florida, because we're in South Florida. And I've had the pleasure to work with this gentleman going on 2 years. And, when you get to work with somebody for that period of time and you work closely with them, you get to know them on an intimate level. And I kind of feel that we've formed and built a friendship over the years. And, kind of watching him from a friend and also watching him as a business colleague, I got to see this gentleman grow. And more importantly, I got to see the people that chose to grow with him, how well that they respect him, and more importantly, how well that they follow him, because he is a true leader. So it's definitely been a growth experience for me to watch him grow. I know I say grow a lot of different times, but that's essentially what we're all here. And we also have something in common. We each have one child that happens to be a boy. And we both agree our boys probably cry a bit more than we would like them to. But what I'm told is boys do cry more than girls when they're babies. So I'm sure I did when I was a baby. And Bill, I'm sure you cried too. So with
Right.
that, I have Bill. Bill, tell us a little bit about how you got started in the insurance industry, and really what was it that attracted you to making that career change or that career decision to be in insurance?
So probably the best and worst decision of my entire life is I moved into the fraternity house my very first day of college.
Okay.
Worst decision is because I didn't finish school. Best decision is it got me 10 years at Best Buy, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was fun. I went from management to remodeling stores. My last 5 years, I delivered appliances.
Mhm.
My last day of doing that, I fell and crushed my L1 vertebrae. So looking back, I kind of feel like God literally pushed me and said, go do this other thing.
Mhm.
A few weeks before that, I'd gone in and talked to a fraternity brother of mine who I'd met several years ago, who said when I was ready for a career to call him. So I did. He worked with Bankers Life. He showed me in 2 weeks, he made half of what I made in a year.
Wow.
He said, this will take you 10 years to do, but you can do it. So I went in with blind faith, did everything he told me to do. He hooked me up with a great mentor. And I was able to do that in 5 years. I was able to make half what I was making at Best Buy in actually 1 week in 5 years.
Amazing. So 6 months of income at a high level position with a very well respected corporation. And you were able to
Hmm.
make that within a week or two, within 5 years of your dedication to Bankers.
Yes, and that was a big annuity, and then a lot of Medicare, and then I mean the annuity commission was half of what we get now, so
Right.
would have been
And
even more.
that's the beauty of annuities is you once you start going elephant hunting, you actually catch one. And I don't mean it literally, but you actually catch one, and the paydays are huge, absolutely
Oh
huge. It
yeah,
can really change your life. Absolutely,
yeah.
for sure. So I know your story. They don't know your story. What without I'm going to be careful with my question because I try to respect everything. But what was the catalyst that made you decide that you needed to transition from a more career-based model to an independent-based model?
Uh, I did very well at Bankers. I qualified for all of the local trips every time. I went on multiple national sales conventions. The online groups started with Medicare Gurus and Insurance Soup. I think in early 2019. Yeah, early 2019, I found those groups, and I discovered what the independent world was actually like, not
Mhm.
the way it was described to me. The fact that all the Medicare supplements are the same, that Medicare Advantage is not the devil.
Right.
Uh,
The devil.
it's a great fit for a lot of folks. And I just got tired of not being able to help everyone I sat down in front of. And I even tell that to people now is that no matter what you want or what you need, as long as we get along, I can help you.
Mhm.
If we don't get along, then by all means go somewhere else. But I would say I was able to help. Probably, I mean, I was fairly good at it. I could probably help one or two people I met with a Bankers Life policy. But now I feel a whole lot better about it because I know I'm just not pushing one thing.
And it's a good feeling. And I grew up in a captive, career-based environment where we did have some flexibility with other products. It was encouraged to offer what we called house products. there wasn't anything wrong with them. They were extremely competitive. They were, well respected. It was American Express. I mean, one of the most trusted names in financial services. But there was always that little bit of thing in the back of my mind that at the end of the day, I'm a company guy. I'm not Joe the independent. Trust me, I'm going to do everything I can to put you in a better place than what you're in. I'm going to do everything I can to put you in a better place that you're in, given my constraints. That was like the
Yeah.
asterisk that we never really discussed. So, you were in a cage a little bit to the best of your ability. So I realized I was a company man, and I will never take that time away in my life, because that time shapes me into who I am today.
Oh yeah.
Just like your banker's life shaped you to who you are in today. And a lot of the folks. Go ahead.
I'll say I walked away from a pretty healthy renewal income. It was just over 50, which I was like in the top 4 in my office for renewals.
That's a big,
and then
tough
to
pill
just
to
completely
swallow.
start over.
Yeah, just to start over. So that should be encouraging to some folks that here we have an example of a gentleman who, followed the path of a trusted fraternity brother. And I know the bond that fraternities have. I went to college. I used to see it, from the sidelines, but the bond or just college friends, the bonds that I talk to my college friend to this day. But the bond that you guys have, you trusted, you believed, it became true, you built, and you just made a decision for the benefit of you and the benefit of your family that you needed to give this away in order for the bigger, greener pasture up ahead of you. And that leads me to my next question, and that is, if you can try to think of something, what would you say has been a big challenge for you, or what has been one of your bigger challenges, either then or now?
So I mean, I'd say back then was going from an hourly to 100% commission.
Mm-hmm. Scary.
It was scary at first. It was rough. And then it got to the point where we could just do whatever we wanted. Mm-hmm. Didn't have to think about it.
Absolutely.
Going from there to being on my own, it was again scary, but had a pretty good AEP right before I made the switch, and that helped.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing right now are growing pains. Between helping my agents out, dealing with my clients, and I don't have a whole lot of time to prospect. Pretty much all my business this first part of the year has been referral, mm-hmm. or current clients need to make some sort of change. Add on the ACA, which has been great. So ACA is not a whole lot up front, but the ancillaries help. And I'm part of a mastermind. I pay to be part of one. I work with a coach. And you and I have talked about this over the past few months. Is I need an assistant. I know I need one.
Absolutely.
So now I have I put off doing because there's things I didn't want to do that were part of getting there. I know what I need to do and how to do it. And actually, I thought of someone earlier today that I'm gonna reach out to and see if I can't get them on board.
Yeah, the interesting thing about change is that in order for change to occur, the fear of the change has to become lighter than the actual pain of the change itself. So once the thought of the change becomes less painful than the fear of the change, then you're ready. And I've struggled with change, at many, many points of my career, even recent points of career. But it's kind of interesting because as you're going through that change process, you tend to forget all the other experiences you had before of change, because when you go through it and you look back, you're like, oh man, what was I thinking? That wasn't so bad. So the same thing is going to happen to you once you find your assistant and you've sat down and you got him or her properly trained, and then all of a sudden you got this entire rock removed from your shoulders. You're going to look back and say, man, what was I thinking? Like, why didn't I do that before?
Yeah.
We got that built-in forgetter. It happens. Which brings me to my next question, and that is, what would you say, if you can select or think of something, but what would you say has been a real huge success for you? Like, what would be that one or two things that that through the course of your career has been always and positively successful?
So the first thing is I had a mentor. Mm-hmm. My attorney brother brought me in, hooked me up with his best friend, who was a perennial top 10 agent in that company. Last year he was actually number 1 and set a company record. for sales. So I had probably the best training available at Bankers Life.
How can you
so-
beat training by number one?
Yeah. So a mentor. And according to them, like, you don't buy leads. That's stupid. We provide you leads. So I didn't like their leads, so I went and I cold door knocked T65s because all we sold were Medicare supplements. I think I had
Right.
a total of 10 Humanas on the books in a little over 5 years.
And I think everybody should know real quick that the model that Bankers deploys around the country is the model that Bill just described. You're given a cold T65 list, and you're taught to do phone calls to set appointments. And then in between, you're taught to go out into the field and do door knocking. And that's it. And they run phone clinics and, sales drills, and, you get ride-alongs and whatnot, but that's essentially the business model. And, interestingly, agents don't know this. Some of the highest producing agents that we work with here at Nation Care are former Bankers agents. They come to us like work ethic like you wouldn't believe. Bill, one of the hardest working guys I know, to this day, well, not in the year 2021 because you just said so, but to this day still goes out and prospects in the same manner that he was taught when he first got hired. He's sharpening the saw. He's putting first things first. He's doing what he was told because he knew that it worked. And he's still doing it today, years and years and years later. He can buy $100 leads. You can buy $100 leads if you wanted to. You got the money to do it, but you choose to go and do what works.
So I transitioned after talking to you and others, the direct mail T65 and other direct mail. That was huge last year. So after the full year of independence, my renewal income is above what I left.
It's amazing.
And it's,
Took you 1 year to make it back. 1 year.
1 year to increase it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you left X on the table, and it took you a year to put it right back on.
Yep.
Because you worked hard.
Yeah.
That's it. Listen, you got to work smart. You got to know what you're doing, guys. You got to know all these other little things, but it all starts with working hard. Working hard is 70% of success in our industry, period. It's work ethic. That is it. And Bill is a clear-cut example of true work ethic, and his team still does the same thing. I'm in a group chat with them, and I don't get a chance to look at it until sometimes when I'm like laying in bed ready to go to sleep, and it's like, wow, these 5 people, like, they did the amount of business in one day that a 10-person call center can do. It's like, whoa, like, I want to go roll with these people. This is my crowd. So it's very, very impressive. Last question. And that is, because we have some viewers out there, and I'm going to break it into 2 parts, but last question is, part A is going to be, what advice would you offer to a brand new agent? Okay. And then number 2, are you in a position, and you can say no, because I'm hitting you with this question blindly. Are you in a position where if a agent who has had some experience just needs to be mentored, and they would be willing to join your hierarchy, would you be willing to interview that agent for an opportunity? So it's a 2-part question. One is, what advice would you give to a new agent? And number 2, would you consider interviewing an agent that may want to consider working with you?
Okay. So advice would be to find a mentor.
Okay.
Someone who has the time and ability to work with you, go out and run appointments with you. The only real phone stuff I do is referrals, so I'm not a huge phone salesperson, but someone who can either go out and teach you to knock on doors, or you work together, set appointments on the phone, you go out and sell them together. A mentor, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't my mentor. I still call him from every now and then to see how he's doing, even though the dude just bought, what car was it? It was one of James Bond's cars.
Okay.
He bought it cash.
All right.
Yeah.
I never watched the movies, but I'm sure it was expensive and fancy.
It's like a $250,000 car. He bought it cash last year. Yeah.
Good mentor.
So a mentor. Yeah. A mentor, number 1. As far as bringing on agents and hierarchy, I'm not in a position to train people from the ground up. I don't want to. I have no desire to. somebody knows what they're doing for the most part, and they need some coaching, and just want more, again, not basics, but how to sell, how to use all the systems we have, the tools, and then going out and actually selling, that I can do. But I'm not going to train from the ground up. Not right now.
And just to give you a little bit of street cred, you were kind enough, and we really appreciate that. You were kind enough to lend a helping hand to an agency that we work with, in a similar section of Florida in the north.
Oh yeah.
And the gentleman that came out with you, I won't say his name because he didn't give me permission to, but the gentleman that came out with you, at the end of that day, he texted us and he said that he learned more with you in a couple of hours than he did going out to a 4-day conference centered around a Medicare. And that was huge. That was just a direct result of you doing the deal. You doing exactly what it is that you do all the time, except for this year, because you just said so. But you doing the deal, and you were able to teach this young man who's never done what you did before, and have him come back to us by the end of the day saying, I cannot thank you enough for this opportunity. And that's amazing. And that's people helping people. That's, relationship, but that's more important. Everything that you've learned before, you're able to pass it along, to somebody that's willing to absorb it. So
yeah, we are very close. We're within about an hour of each other, hour and a half maybe. There's one territory that we both work. Thankfully, I have that area on direct mail lockdown, so they can't mail there. That's the one area we share. Other than that, I don't go anywhere in there unless it's a referral.
Right.
They let me go out and watch them do a T65 seminar. And then one of the agents from that office came over and we went and did some doctor door knocking.
It's pretty cool.
And that turned into some good relationships so far.
Absolutely. And, unfortunately I had some very strict scheduling conflicts this week with, we're going away for the weekend and stuff like that. So I would join Andrew tomorrow in visiting that agency and you as well on Friday. So I kind of feel bad we're not going to get to see you, but I promise I'll be on the next one and we'll spend a little bit more time together and do some fun stuff other than talk about insurance and seminars and leads.
Right.
Talk about some beer.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Bill, thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is really good. I really like your piece of artwork that looks like wood from what I'm looking at.
It is. It's burned.
Looks like it was handmade.
It's a local artist.
Yeah. Beautiful.
It definitely was.
Yeah. And, very patriotic. So that's music to my ears.
We live in a military town.
Which is great in a Republican state.
Yes.
All right, Bill. You take care. Thank you so much and keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye.